Actually, I'm just going to do the whole screen. Okay, so this is what we did last time. And the high-low method, we just take the highest and the lowest, and we use those as our guide to splitting it up. Okay, we're not going to skip page 3. We're going to do page 3. Okay. So we'll go over the high-low method one more time. And the high-low method is there's actually the two methods we use are high-low and then regression. Now, let me change screens. You recall that we were talking about this, that it's possible to go through and figure out each item, seeing whether it's variable or fixed, and then each item seeing what, and then totaling them up. And the problem we have with that is it can be huge. It can be thousands of items. It can be whatever. Whereas a lot of times it's much easier and actually more accurate to take the total cost and then split it up between variable and fixed, because you're going to see what actually behaves as a variable cost and a fixed cost. And that's what we want, because remember, for managerial accounting, we look at the behaviors of the cost, not what they are. We don't care, but we don't care whether they're marketing costs or production costs or management costs or whatever, or shipping costs, janitor costs, whatever. We care about how they behave, because that's going to let us do calculations to see if we're profitable or not. So it's how they behave. And that's why we're doing this, is that Chapter 10 is all about taking the total cost and then splitting up the variable part and the fixed part. And we do that so that we can actually make decisions with the variable and fixed cost. Kind of like we did in Chapter 3. We did the break even and all that. So that's why we're doing it this way. We take the total cost and split it up. First of all, it's usually much faster. It's much easier to get the total cost. Just go to your bank statement, see what you paid out for the year or the month or whatever. Use that. See how many units did you make? Use that, and you can back into these numbers. So it's actually much quicker, and usually it's more accurate. There are biases and mistakes that can leak in, especially if you have a whole bunch of things. If you have 500 things you're trying to organize as to what's variable and what's fixed, making a mistake here and there would not be uncommon. I mean, it would be almost expected that there would be mistakes made in there just because of the sheer number and how difficult it is to know whether it's variable or fixed. Okay, so all right. So high-low method, we take the high and the low, and we do it on the production here. Okay, so 9 is the high. And 4 looks like the low. Okay, so we just take the high and the low, and notice that we ignore all the rest of these. We don't do anything with the rest of those. For the high-low method, it's just the high, just the low. Okay, and we take the difference between those two. Okay, so this will be high. Let me move this down. And these would be the total cost. Okay, so the high was 9 units. Low was 4. Oops.
Professor Taylor, just curious. So this HighLow method, is this the best method to find, or is there more?
No. The best method is the regression method. The weakness of the HighLow method. Well, here I'll show you the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that it's fast. You can do it much more quickly. You don't need to gather all the information. You only need to gather information on 2 points. You don't need to go through the regression equation. Although if you did, you'd get the same answer we get in the HighLow. If you just took a regression equation and just did those 2, you get the same answer as we get for doing the HighLow. Anyway, the disadvantage is it's not as accurate. I said linear regression. So no, it's not the best one, but it does have its advantages, and the advantages being that it's fast. You don't even have to have complete data really to do it. I mean, if you can just, whatever data you have, take the highest and the lowest and go, and that's it. The disadvantages though are this, and that is that it's not as accurate as linear regression. So if you need a number fast, you got to make it. You're on the phone. You got to make a decision. Someone says they want you to give them a number for a sale or whatever, and you say, okay, let me get back to you. They say, well, no, you got to tell me right now. I'm going into a meeting in 2 minutes, so give me something now that I can go in. You could probably do the HighLow method fairly quickly and give them some kind of a number. So it's fast, fairly simple. Disadvantages, not as accurate. There's some other things too. It's also possible that the highest and the lowest might be flawed. That the high and the low shouldn't be used to estimate everything in between, because they may not be the best estimate of what's in between there. It may not be the best estimate of these things, these things that we're not counting. Okay, now we're going to take the difference between these. My spacing's not very good here. Anyway, so we're going to subtract out these. And we're going to do this for a reason. The change in total cost. We talked about this last time. Is it due to variable cost or fixed cost? If there's a change in the total cost.
Variable.
Yep. Yeah, if there is a change in the total cost, it must be due to variable cost, because the fixed costs don't change. So what we can do is take the difference. So we had 5 units and whatever that is, 103 minus 68. On the calculator first. That's a tip. You guys should write that down. 5. Okay, so if we divide those, we should be able to get the variable cost per unit. So $35 was the cost increase. do it last time? I can't remember. Oh, change. That's a good way to put it. Not quite as smart this week. Okay, so change. In total cost. Wait a minute. I think I did it over here. Okay. So we're going to change in the total cost over the units. So total cost changed by $35. And the units changed by 5. For some reason, that's not centering. Okay, so 35 divided by 5 equals $7. I didn't know that. Yes, $7. And this is the variable cost. Variable cost per unit. So the variable cost per unit would be I guess put right here. Right? $7. And now we're going to do the fixed costs. And I think I might hey. There we go. Just get a little more room here. Okay, so some of this let's take the high. Some of this high amount is variable and some of it's fixed. I'll do it up here, I guess. Move this down. Okay, so the variable cost. Okay, so well, coming here, we had high, we had 9 units. Times 7. Okay, so this is 9. The 7 is that number. 9 times 7 is what, 63? Okay, so this is the variable cost in total. So this is the total variable cost. Okay, well, if 103 is the cost of variable and fixed, and 63 is variable, then the rest must be fixed. Was that 40?
Professor, can you scroll your screen over?
To the left? Oh, how about this? Does that help?
No, to the side. I'm sorry. Because we don't see. Okay, now we see better.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we were not seeing the end of it.
Okay. One thing you can do is there's like a minus thing, or if you have all the people on the side, there's a minus thing you can hit. It will kind of scrunch them up. You can't see your fellow classmates, but yeah. Can you see it now though? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so 103. So this is that. Minus 63. I'll make that red. How about it? I will know which one it is. Okay, so it's sort of like this. This is variable plus fixed. And so if we subtract out the variable, yeah, this is just going to leave us with the fixed. Oops. Messing up here. Okay, so I didn't put that in yet. I think it's 40. Right? So the fixed price would be, the fixed cost would be, okay, so this is the 40. So this is fixed cost. Oh, I know. I didn't put my my pointy things in there. So that 103, some of it's variable, some of it's fixed. Okay, so we figured out what was variable, and then the rest of it must be fixed. So 63 is variable. Need another pointer. So if 63 of it was variable, so 103 was variable and fixed. 63 is variable, so the rest of it must be fixed. And you can check your answer down here, same way. Using the low. Now the number is going to be a little bit different, but this will be green. So this would be 4 units times 7. It's 28. So it's a total variable cost. And the fixed cost would be 68. Variable and fixed minus the 28, which is the variable amount. And then we go 40. And again, you know, this is what you'd expect it to equal because it's fixed. I'm missing here. Oh wait, I should do that red underline. Okay, so here's Okay, so again, so this is kind of the important thing here. These should come out to be exactly the same. You know, these two should be the same or close to it. If you had to round a little bit, they might be off a little bit, but it should be pretty close to the same. So those are ones you can actually check your answer. And again, they might be off a little bit, but you should be close to it. So this would be, yeah. Any question on that? Okay, and again, the reason for doing this one is it's fast. You don't have to have all the data. You could be missing months, and you know whatever ones you have, take the highest and the lowest. Go with months or weeks, whatever it is you're doing this by. Disadvantages, not as accurate. Okay, down here is our calculate the break-even pint. Let's change that. Not sure what the break-even pint would be, but let's get the break-even point instead. So calculate the break-even point. The selling price is 15. Okay, so this is kind of like what we did before in chapter 3. Sales, variable cost, fixed cost. Let's see the income. Okay. Somewhere I got to put in. So I'm going to say that X equals units. Okay, so sales would be what? So underneath sales, we don't know the units. We know that we put them as X. So what would be underneath sales here?
$15.
Yep. So 15X minus the variable cost of what we got up here, 7. Oh, right here actually, $7. So this would be 7. And the fixed costs were 40. And at break even, our income is, oops, not comma, it's 0. And so we just solve for that. So 15x minus 7x is 8x. And we want to get yeah, that's to be we want 40. So if this is minus 40, we need a plus 40 on each side. Nope. Okay, so that ends up being 0. This equals 40. And I'm just going to get these two closer together. 8x equals 40. I think I put this on the test as a extra credit, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so divide both sides by 8. Let's have x. So x equals 5 units. And then if you wanted the dollar amounts, it would be times $15. And space this one over. So anyway, so this would be the break-even point. Break-even point would be 5 units, and the dollar sale would be 75. This is the selling price. Okay, I goofed this one up. Let's let's start. Let's leave it at that. Oh, and here I would do the selling price up here. Much better. Okay, so that's that's us using the variable and fixed cost. So variable fixed cost, we took the totals to get them. The reason for doing that is they're usually more accurate and easier to do. And then down here, we're actually using it. So this is, again, this would be in the, this would be extra credit. On the exam, this would be extra credit. Any question on that? Okay, let's go to the one that has a bit more work. Now, we did number 4 last. And again, this is one of those things that, the more you do them, the better you get at them. At some point, hopefully it becomes almost routine. Okay. So these are the formulas we use. And by the way, if you're doing well with these formulas, it's sort of like in your algebra classes, when you find the slope, you'll notice that, you have y minus y over x minus x. It's a very similar thing. A little bit more complex, and there's a little more stuff in here, but the basic idea is, the slope is the variable cost, and the fixed is the constant. And it really is the same thing you would do in an algebra class, a little bit more involved. Okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, we have to figure out what's x and what are y's. And the easiest ones in this class are the y's. And what are the y's?
The total cost.
Yep. So y's are always our total cost. And x's are basically everything else. And in this case, this is the toaster data. So once we get that, need more space here. I just heard a couple rows. What knucklehead made this thing? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these little parts of the equation and figure them out. And based on these, the toasters being the x's and the total cost being the y, and the y's are what you're trying to explain. And in this class, the nice thing is that they are always the total cost. You're always trying to figure out what the total costs are. Okay. So the first part, summation of x, y. So the squiggly means to add them up, and x, y means to multiply. And which one do you do first? Multiply or add?
Multiply.
Yep. So we're going to do x times x. No, we're not. We're going to do x times y. Let me get a little closer to the data. Okay, so I'm going to do is take x 4 times 36, and that will be my. Okay, Dougie, you've done your job. Okay, so actually we need Dougie close to get a funny glare. I'll put dog in here. Nothing wrong with having dog in. I like dog. All right. So this is 4 times 36. 144. Oops. Don't do that. Next would be 3 times 29. $87. Six times 46 is 276. Okay, so what I've done here is just taken the x times the y, multiplied them, and now we're going to sum them up. So these will be the totals. Okay, so 144. Plus. And over here, these are just, I just copy these, so I'm just gonna copy this. Copy, paste, just because getting these symbols is kind of a pain. So the summation of x times, so this is x times y, and then down here, we're summing them up. Okay, so that'll be the first, how did I do it up here? Okay, that was reasonable. Hold on a second. Oh, I know what it is. This is the problem here. No, okay. It's really strange. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. Why weren't these? Oh, merge cells. Hey, there we go. See, and you guys thought I didn't know how to use a computer. Okay, I guess I still don't know how to use a computer. Oh, there we go. All right, so this would be, so bring it in the equation. V equals. So the first part of the equation is bracket 507 minus my spacing is so wacky. I apologize, guys. I didn't, well, that one's gonna be like that. I'm not sure why I did how I did this or why I did this one. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is take these down here. Each one of these we're going to, oops, take. Okay, sum x. Okay, well, here's x, and it just says, you know, in the parentheses, it says sum those up. So we will do that. So 4 plus 3 plus 6, is that 13? It is. Okay, so 13. And that's sum x. Take the inner line off that. Inner line off that, like it'll look funny, like it's another part of an equation or something. Okay. So this would be bracket, wrong bracket, that kind of bracket, 13. Summation of y, add these up. 13 times 11. And the one I don't think well, last time what do we what do we get for n last time?
We got 3.
Yeah, it's how many data points do you have? So it's sort of like this. Let's be the n. And so you're kind of counting these. So n is just the number of data points that you have. And again, if we had, if we had 10 weeks, n would be 10. If we had 5 weeks, n would be 5, and so on and so forth. So it's just how many weeks do we have here would be the n. Okay, a little n. Okay. So down here, this would be 3. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Okay, so we have 507. I'm going to move that over. Minus that. Well, we'll figure these out in a second. Divided by. Okay, coming over to these terms. And this is the tricky one. This is one that throws people sometimes. X times X. And I'm going to do it here. So X is just 4. So 4 times 4 equals 16. So you just multiply them by themselves. 3 times 3. You can also say this is just x squared. And 6 times 6. So again, these are just x's. X times x. Add it up. 16 plus 9 plus 61. Okay. So this will be 61. minus notice the summation of x we already have. It's the 13. We also have the n already. I'm going to merge these, I think. Ah. Okay, so minus 13 divided by 3. I'm gonna find a better way to do these. I was hoping that this would be a little bit more. I know how to do it. It's not going to help you guys, but in the future, if I merge these 3 cells together and do the same thing down here, it'd be a whole lot easier. All right. Well, it's not going to help you guys. It'll help the next class. All right. So now we're just going to start chunking through the numbers. So 507. Minus. So we're going to multiply all these out. So 13 times 111 divided by 3. So multiply them and then multiply or divide by 3. So 481. Divided by 61 minus 13 times 13 divided by 3. That's not going to be a nice number. $56.33. It's not right bracket either. Okay. So we have 507 minus 81 divided by whatever that is over there. Okay, so 507 minus 26. Divided by, and usually if you keep the cents, you're usually okay. So 61 minus 56.33. $4.67. And yeah, try to keep the decimals usually because well, the whole point of doing it is to be more accurate. So you can yeah, usually to keep the pennies usually Okay, so 26 divided by 4.6. 5.56, so is it 5.57? Oh, let's try that again. So $5.57. So this is our variable cost, our best estimate of our variable cost per unit. Let's see, turquoise. No, that looks terrible. It looks terrible, but I'm going to leave it. So this is our variable cost per unit. This is what our best estimate of what the variable cost is per unit. And again, you notice that unlike the high-low method, we took everything. We took all the data points. We did this. Again, the reason for doing that is it's more accurate. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, if you look at these here, we've already done these, but these are actually this one you can actually kind of reason through. This is kind of like the high-low method. And that, you look at this thing and your eyes kind of fog over. Summation of y divided by n. If you look at that, really all that's saying is, what's the average total cost? Right? If I just ask you what's the average total cost, you guys would all say, okay, you add these up and divide by 3, right? That's the average. That's exactly what this is saying. So what's the average total cost? And then we're going to subtract out the average variable cost. So this really is just the average total cost minus the average variable cost. This is just like we did in the high-low method. Here, where you took the average, well, this is an average, but this is the total cost minus the variable cost gives you the fixed, exactly the same thing. Oops, too far. Okay, so summation of y divided by n. So Summation of y is 111. Divide by n, and n is, we're going to need 3, just average total cost. Minus, and v is the variable cost, which we have is 5.57. Times the units. Now we're going to say, okay, we want the average number of units. So the average number of units is summation of x. Yeah. If I asked you what was the average toaster that was made, you guys get it easy. You'd say, okay, just add up the toasters, divide by 3, I'll give you the average, and that's all they're saying. 13 divided by 3. Okay, 111 divided by 3. $37 minus, oops, other way. I'm gonna do these all at once. So take 5.57 times 13 divided by 3. So 5.57 times 13 equals that, divided by 3 equals yuck. 24.14. So 37 minus 24.14. $12.86. And so this would be our best estimate of our total fixed cost. So this would be the total fixed cost. And we'll also make that turquoise. So this would be the best estimate of our variable cost. This would be the best estimate of our fixed cost. And again, we used all the data. Okay, I tell you what, let's do a let's take a break. We'll be back. What time is it? 7:06. I'll say be back at I don't know. Do this. I'll be back at say 7:15. How about? And we're gonna do number 6. If you want to get started on number 6, you can. Okay. Okay, I just kind of want to show you guys something. So this is kind of what I think what happened with the last problem. It looks something like this. Oops. Not exactly like this, but something like that. You know, so this would be the fixed cost here. This would be total cost. And every item we would say would add, what was it, 5 something? 5.57. So this would be plus. So if I, you know, every time we add one, you'd expect the cost to go up by that. Now, the items themselves, there might not be any data points actually on the line. So this is, you know, it's our best estimate of what it would be, but there may not be actually any data points that actually sit on that line. It's very common that they don't. But what this method does is sort of like this. I'll do it in orange. Is it minimizes these errors, you know, whatever they are. Oops, there should be an R there. So it minimizes these, and you know, these are the errors in our estimate. These amounts are caused by, you know, we don't know what they're caused by, but there's something else. So it minimizes these errors in it. So it'll get to the line that's what's called the best fit. To go through those. And one other thing that's a little bit strange about this method, or not strange, but different than what you do in some of your other statistics stuff, is you'll notice there's actually 2 ways it can go wrong. You know, the fixed cost could be wrong. You know, so this could go, you know, up or down a little bit. And this could go wrong too. And this would be, it's almost like a wobble kind of thing here, because it'll kind of pivot in the middle of your data. So the actual variable cost could change. So the weird thing is, is when you do those kind of bell curve things, you know, if you get in towards the middle, they're not very big, but as you get to the outside, they can get to be a lot bigger. You know, so you kind of have this, you kind of have this, you know, it's almost a, and the numbers in the middle you have more confidence in because they're more likely to be, you know, similar to what. And as you get towards these end amounts, they could be, you know. So that's kind of what the, you know, what this looks like for the regression. You guys probably do this in your either your statistics class, or if you were in a statistics class, you probably already did this. But anyway, that's kind of what you're looking at when you see these regressions. Now, we don't do these, you know, bell-shaped curve things over them, and you can imagine they're kind of tricky because it depends where you're on the line to do those. But that's basically the idea behind it. It's, you know, it's sort of like averaging. You find the average, and there's kind of a bell curve around it. Okay, let's go back to okay, so this one, you guys already started on it, that's fine. By the way, if you want to get these all into the same, you can right click on it and merge the cells. And then just delete. We'll fix that next time. I'm going to insert some cells here.
Can we get these like in an Excel format, maybe?
Yeah, I used to send them out in Excel format. But you can also just copy them into Excel format. You know, you can just copy this. Let me do something here. I gotta share my entire screen. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely just copy these right into
Excel. Yeah. Probably do the next on the next one.
And you know, if you want, you can do that for your test also. I guess sell them out like that too. That's another idea. But yeah, you can definitely put them in here, and then yeah, the adding and all that summing would be a lot easier. The reason I don't do that as much is I think, especially people using their phones, it's a little bit more tricky to do. But certainly you can do it that way. Okay. This is the same one. No, the total costs are different. Toasters are the same though. 436. All right. So again, you know, we just go through each of those, and again, it looks daunting at first, but once you go through it, it's not as bad as it seems. They must have done the spacing differently on the first one, and then not done on the second one or third one. On four, and then 5 and 6, they did something different there. Okay. All right. Next time is what? Yeah, pain in the butt than I thought. All right. That's wrong. Oh. Let's try that again. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. All right. So what is it? Let's see. So same as we did before. 13. Okay, so 38.33 divided by 4.67 equals 8.21. And so this is the variable cost per unit. Okay, coming down here, we just have this. Oops, oops, oops. Average total cost. Subtract out the average variable cost. And we'll use our average fixed cost. Okay. Oh, first of all, that's wrong. Okay, so this is the 821 from up above. What's that number? So the total cost, average total cost minus, this is just the average number of toasters that they made. Toasters, they're toasters. And this is the cost per toaster. So this is the average variable cost. Then you're left with the average fixed cost. Okay, so 8.21 times 13 equals that, divided by 3 equals 35.58. Oops. So this total cost minus the variable cost, and this will leave us our fixed cost, whatever that is. 40. So that's that one. All right, any questions? Okay, no questions on that then. I think that's all we're going to do for tonight. And I think I got the grades. Let me check. Let me sure. I think I got the grades in. Let me see if I got the grades in. I got the grades in. I don't think I don't have them in the okay. Now I got the grades in. All right. So I think I'm going to put the chapter, sort of a chapter 10 handout. So chapter 10 handout, I'll put that as a, you can turn that in for today. I'm not going to give you guys any work going into next week. What we're going to do is next week, we're going to do some problems, a couple of high-low ones out of the book. And then we're also going to do, I might do a little bit of regression in Excel, and just to kind of get you guys familiar with more with the data that you get out of it, rather than you know how to use it basically, because there's a couple things that you can that is very helpful to pull out of it, especially using Excel. As you can imagine, this thing, you know, it's crunching numbers, and it can be tedious to say the least. Now, the what was I gonna say? And there are some things in Excel. Excel is not. I know you guys, if you had statistics class, you guys probably used Minitab or something similar to it, some kind of a dedicated program. There's nothing wrong with those programs, but they're very expensive. They can be thousands of dollars. Point being is that you know, your first job, you know, you're probably not going to have, unless you do something with quality control or something, you're probably not going to have anything like Minitab or any of the statistical SPSS or any of those programs available. But you will have Excel most likely. So we're going to see how to do it in Excel. And again, the reason for doing that is that it is more likely you're going to have. It's not as easy to use as a dedicated statistics program, because Excel does a lot of things. But again, it's going to be probably more along the lines of what you're going to see when you actually start working your jobs, which for most of you is probably going to be pretty soon, within a year or two, most likely. So we'll go over that, and I don't know if I have I may not do a practice test. I don't know. We'll see what we do next week. Anyway, so we'll finish. So we'll wrap it up next week. Might start a little bit into chapter 11, but certainly we'll finish up chapter 10 next week, and I'll give you the exam on it. So tonight I'm going to put a, when I sign off here, I'm going to put in a drop for the chapter 10 handout. So we're done with it. We should be done with it.
Professor, quick question. Do we have to turn that in today, or can we turn that in like later during the week?
No, it'll be due. I've been doing a week plus one, so it'll be due next Tuesday at midnight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tuesday the 16th. So it'll be due March 16th at midnight. I mean, you guys know though that you can turn stuff in late. It's just a matter of keeping up with class. At that point, it'll be put into your grade to date. But yeah, so if you don't get it in by then, don't be discouraged. It's you turn it later. And I don't know if I mentioned this. I should have. You know, let me share my screen here for a second. But all the recorded Zoom meetings are, if you look under, there's a Zoom meeting every Monday. Underneath there it says recorded Zoom meetings. A couple people have asked me where the recorded Zoom meetings are. So they're right underneath. They're in a folder. They're not in the Zoom meeting folder. Not in the Zoom meeting, the one right underneath it. So all the recorded ones are underneath it. So if you need to look at any of them, you can. Screwdriver, playing around. So if you need any of to look at any of the other Zoom meetings, you can. And of course, with these are all in YouTube, so you can always kind of jump forward and stuff too. So if you get the gist of it, you can. But anyway, so underneath the so underneath the Zoom meeting, there's a recorded Zoom meetings. So if you need to look at them, that's what they're there for. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, you guys have a good night. And if you still need to turn stuff in, by all means, turn it in. You can turn anything in without penalty.
All right.
And the Zoom meetings are there. The handouts are in Blackboard too, or in your emails. So any you can definitely make this stuff up.
All right, Professor, have a good night.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.